Most popular Bitcoin critics do not even understand how Bitcoin works, and their arguments are weak and very questionable. But don't worry, we have the information you need to know. Bitcoin is a revolutionary technology that is already changing the world, but we know it is not perfect. Most notable are its ease of use issues that may make mainstream adoption difficult, if not impossible. Let's discuss some of the existing problems with Bitcoin and its practical usage. But before we continue, we welcome you to the Crypto Hub, the largest YouTube channel where you can find everything about the crypto world. If you're new here, hit subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified of new videos. We'll be presenting interesting content about Bitcoin. Bitcoin has come a long way in the 8 or so years it has been in existence, but there is still a long way to go before digital currency becomes a widely used method of paying for services and goods. Here are 5 of the biggest problems and challenges facing mainstream adoption of Bitcoin, and what would need to happen for consumers to start the digital currency on a large scale. Number 1. Bitcoin requires users to be well-versed in computer security. Typically, a single file on a Bitcoin user's computer is the extreme key to accessing that user's Bitcoins. In case this wallet record is lost or stolen, all of the person's Bitcoins are most likely gone forever. Encrypted wallets? Cold storage? BIP0038? Bitcoin security terminology seems like another language to the layman. Learning the most acceptable practices for ensuring one's Bitcoins are safe can be overwhelming. Many online wallet services and businesses have been established to offload the security requirements from the client. People can store their Bitcoins with a service to avoid having to secure and back up their own Bitcoin wallets. Utilizing these services still requires a fundamental understanding of computer security, like using solid passwords and two-factor authentication to avoid unauthorized account access though. Moreover, these private sector services are continually focused on by attackers, and a few have been effectively hacked and had client-deposited Bitcoin stolen. The primary issue with these services is trust. In case you're depositing Bitcoins with somebody else, you must trust them to hold your funds, much like a bank, safely. Unfortunately, there have already been many instances of Bitcoin benefit operators running off with depositors' Bitcoins. Number 2. Bitcoin is slow and impractical for retail transactions. After a new exchange is broadcast to the Bitcoin network, it is usually evident to the recipient within a few seconds. But in a few cases, it could take a few minutes for the exchange to travel across the network and reach the recipient's connection, causing an inconvenient wait for both the buyer and vendor. Moreover, unless the buyer agrees to hold up for about an hour for the exchange to be sufficiently confirmed, the sale of physical and digital items is susceptible to double spend attacks. An evil purchaser could simultaneously transmit 2 conflicting transactions using the same Bitcoins. One transaction to pay the seller and a second transaction to pay themselves. The seller might initially see the first transaction, consider the order paid without waiting for the transaction to confirm, and permit the buyer to walk out the door with the item. Then the second exchange becomes permanently affirmed in the blockchain as the truth, invalidating the primary transaction. In this case, the vendor is the victim of a theft. This scenario's current solution is for the merchants who use a third-party Bitcoin payment service provider like BitPay.com to handle transaction processing. BitPay absorbs all the double spend hazards for the merchant and claims to have experienced 0 cases of payment fraud. But it is not clear how BitPay mitigates double spend attacks. It is proven that Bitcoin payment services such as these are well connected to the Bitcoin network using a vast number of Bitcoin nodes worldwide, which helps in detecting double spend attacks. Number 3. Bitcoin has no built-in consumer protection. Credit card companies and payment processing companies, PayPal for example, can protect buyers from fraudulent sellers with chargebacks. Suppose a consumer makes a purchase using the payment processor services and can show that an untrustworthy seller has ripped them off. In that case, the payment handling company will frequently refund the buyer their funds. Bitcoin offers no such security. Exchanges are irreversible, so the buyer must trust the vendor to deliver. Many Bitcoin clients say that this is a feature, not a weakness, and it just requires them to do their due diligence before sending a vendor their cash. Also, irreversible exchanges ensure vendors are safe from fraudulent chargebacks. Number 4. Bitcoin has technical weaknesses vulnerable to orchestrated attacks. Sybil attacks, 51% attacks, and denial of service attacks are not capable of breaking Bitcoin, but they could temporarily disrupt nodes on the network or allow for double spend transactions. Pulling off organized attacks on a vast scale would require a lot of expensive computing power and becomes increasingly improbable as more and more honest miners and nodes join the network. There have been no known widespread outages or double spend due to these types of attacks. Number 5. Tax issues. Under current law, the IRS considers Bitcoin and other computerized currencies to be intangible property, which means they're subject to capital gains taxes. If you purchase Bitcoin and then sell it for more than you paid, you'll have to report the difference on your taxes. Even more regrettable from a currency point of view, each time you use Bitcoin to purchase something, it could be a potentially taxable event. For example, if I pay for a $5 cup of coffee with Bitcoin that initially cost me $4, that dollar in benefit is a capital gain. As you might imagine, this circumstance can make the need for an exhausting amount of record keeping. And Bitcoin clients have 3 choices. Keep point-by-point records of each Bitcoin purchase and transaction, risk getting into trouble with the IRS, or do not use Bitcoin at all. Gains resulting from other currencies also can result in an assessable income. But this generally is not an issue on a day-to-day premise. After all, few people in the US regularly pay for products and services in euros or yen. Bitcoin was designed to be trustless. You do not need to place your confidence in a central authority to create, manage, and distribute the money. Bitcoin's side effect requires more responsibility from the end user to know its properties and safe usage. And since Bitcoin is an entire complex and new idea, it will take some time for most people. But that information does not need to be absolute. You can choose to trust third parties to tackle the more technically in-depth responsibilities for you. Just as many people elect to use PayPal, wire transfer services, and banks to secure and transmit their money. New businesses and entrepreneurs build these infrastructure types to fix some of the above problems and make Bitcoin more available to the general public. We hope you get all the answers about the problems and challenges that Bitcoin is facing. So don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Hub for more exciting content, because this channel is all about Bitcoin and the crypto world. If you have any questions and want to hear something more unique, add your comment below. Thanks for watching the Crypto Hub. We will catch up in the next video. Bye!